Okay. And then we've got Coach Pete here on you know, Mackenzie knows Coach Pete. So yeah. All right. Let me let her. Hey, everybody, listen up. Hey. So we're meeting with Onshape. William's going to show what he's been doing with the parts library inserter. So I've got that on the screen so everybody can do that. So just a little slightly lower volume today. All right. Would you like to introduce yourself? Is your audio working?
Do you all hear it twice? Or is it okay? So I'm William Dagley. I just joined robotics this year, and I've been working on this Onshape extension. Yeah, I'm a junior.
Can they hear you on there? Yeah, you guys, y'all can hear him. Y'all can hear him good, right?
Yeah, great.
You can hear him good. All right.
Well, thanks, William. We're excited to see what you've been up to.
Wait, I can't.
One headset?
You what? Did you not share?
I can't really hear them.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't hear. Turn the volume.
There.
Okay.
How about? Can y'all speak? See if we can hear him.
Yeah, I was just saying we're excited to hear excited to see what he's been up to.
Yeah, we can. Well, yeah, I guess we can go in the other room. All right. We're gonna swap. Yeah, we're gonna swap to the room next room.
No, go to
I'm gonna leave it shared on this Vivi though.
we get the tour of the school.
Okay. All right.
No, they're very here.
We went to a much quieter room so we can hear. All right. Can you hear now?
Yeah.
All right. Ahead. Your show. You're not sharing.
Yeah.
Black screen of death.
All right. Can you all see this fine?
We can, and at some point we got to help you with your graphic settings so you don't have that black background.
Yeah, I think it's a memory issue. I don't know.
Yeah, it's usually to do with how the graphics card is set up with Chrome, but we can send you over those instructions too.
Okay, so we just have like a test Onshape file here, and then this is the extension. So we have like a home tab with like recently opened my Onshape created by me, and then all of them up to here are like the default Onshape ones that are like in the Onshape like home thing. And then we also have recently inserted, favorited, and my libraries. So recently inserted is just, well, I don't have the file here, but if I just insert a shape or a part, then it will appear there. Okay, maybe this isn't,
Because an assembly.
Yeah. It's fine.
Kits will probably be all assemblies too.
Okay.
It's the hard structure. Yeah, structure.
Okay. So we just insert a part in here, then it will be saved in the recently inserted, and then also if it's a configurable, then its configuration will be saved. Like if we're doing 17 pools, I think this is for series. Then when we go under favorited, then
Recently inserted.
right, yeah, I mean recently inserted. then it will be here as that just broke. But say so. I guess I need to fix that. But
It's not a demo unless something goes wrong.
okay, let's try it with.
Demos get surrounded by a reality distortion field. It's just quality versus.
So here's a configurable file, and then I think it just got overwritten because I too. We have to be inserted, and
There it goes.
There it goes.
okay, man, yeah, fix it. I guess I pushed something that broke this.
Sorry.
But okay, so if we have here, okay, it works now. Yeah. So now it's set to 2 inches. I also messed up the configuration for the others, which I didn't fix. But then it will just insert it, I guess, 2 inches, like we already did. And then you can also add files to, yeah. So there's a context menu. It's just right click. You can add documents to your favorites, so that they'll appear there.
I like that. Very cool.
Don't be loading and commit writing to the DB.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, so they'll appear here also with configuration, and then you can just remove them with right click, and then you can remove it from your favorites, and then reload it, and then it will be there.
What happens when you report a flaw?
Oh, that just sends it will open another window because it's just like the mail to thing.
Oh, cool.
But I'm just sharing like Chrome right now, so I don't think it'll be displayed. So I can change that if you want.
Looks great.
Or
Yeah, the intention is when we're trying to find bug, it's the bug reporting mechanism.
Yeah.
all right, and then we also have my libraries, which will store the libraries. They're like fake libraries that you can like clone from folders, and then you can also add and remove from them. So for an example, we can go to I guess it's yeah, there'll be maybe some bugs in it, but it shouldn't really matter. So we can go into, you know, parts library folder over here, and then we can find one with folders under it, just to show you guys.
I think all those have.
But yeah, the Pitsco doesn't have it. Go to Actibotics or Servo City under structure. I assume y'all are noticing the performance is actually pretty good about going through. This is a lot faster than going in and out of the insert.
I was gonna say it is snappy.
Okay.
I'm impressed.
So yeah, we can go like tubing, and then the only thing we can really do with this is create a parts library from that. So just gonna click that, and then it will take some time. I should probably add progress to it maybe, but when it's done cloning, then it will just the context menu will just go away. And this also depends on like the size of all the descendants of this folder because it needs to clone all.
So is the library user created then? So the user is kind of making their own libraries, or
You
the
can-
library is part of the app?
So the intention of the libraries they are a synthetic object. So it is, if you actually go into Onshape, they correspond to an Onshape document with the app elements inside the document. And so you would create a library, like a Go Build a Library, a Pitsco library, and that would be public. And now the one thing that he hasn't put in there is there's going to be a single source of truth, which is a list of all of the libraries for you to pull from that this tool knows about. And so he's the only one that can add them to that list of libraries. But once that's in there, a library, it's a synthetic object. So we have there are 2 things. There's a synthetic library and there's a synthetic, we call them a proxy. There's a proxy library and a proxy folder. So within the library, it has folders just like Onshape folders. But the beauty of it is there's only one document. That document can be public. And as long as everybody has access to the public document, they can navigate through the library just like you see here.
And for context, it all just gets stored in the like raw JSON for that app element in that document.
Got it. So right now, the way you were accessing it, but was by going home and then Teams.
Yeah, that's just for all of the default, like that's for just for the
That's the parts
library.
library.
FTC parts library.
That's the one that's currently shared with everybody. But you can see here, he is now in the synthetic library.
Yeah, and then I can add folders like I just did, and add documents to those folders.
And so if once this is ready to go, once I install the app will have, like you said, a single source of truth of parts libraries.
Yes.
And that'll
And
come
then other intent is that then if you had your own robotics team, you can make your own library and only have parts that say you have in stock.
That's cool. Yeah. Very
Or
cool.
copy the library and then go through and delete the things. So as a coach, I can make a copy of the library and then delete the ones that I don't want my team to be.
Yeah, that's great.
So there's a couple of minor issues to be aware of. You want to give them what you know of then?
Well, I still have like more features to add, which is like removing and adding stuff from home because we don't necessarily want all this stuff if like you don't want it.
Yeah, but there's a performance hit on the library.
Yeah, so for the libraries, we need to, you can notice that they're like slower. That's because we need to get like the document element and then get its descendants after that, or like get its content after that. So it's more requests.
What we're finding is that the app element APIs are slow. And it's worse than that because when you want to update it, you have to query it first, then you have to do a delta, then you have to apply the delta, and you have to hope in the meantime that nobody else actually tried to touch it.
Because it's all done through JSON patch, which requires a full delta by definition.
Got it.
The other thing is we really want these libraries, what we call the synthetic libraries, really want them not to be visible to people. Right? If you think about it, there's nothing you can do when you open it other than maybe we can make it so that it launches the app. But we really want to have some way of saying, look, this is not something I want to show in the user interface when they're looking at it.
Sorry, that means the libraries are essentially stored in public Onshape documents with that app element.
Correct.
You're saying you don't want that to be a public Onshape document?
We want it to be a public Onshape document, but it really shouldn't show up when you're going and navigating and looking at things, right? There's nothing you can do with it.
Well, you could still use it as a regular public Onshape document, right?
Right, but there's nothing in it. There's no content in there that's useful.
Where are you going to show that?
Oh, gotcha. So the parts are all stored one layer separate. It's just you have a document with an app element, and that's the only thing in that library, and that app element points to other documents.
Yeah, a library has a top level app element, which is the library, and then each of the folders underneath it are also stored as app elements in that same document. So every folder is a separate app element in the document. And if you think about it, it has to be that way. Otherwise, it'll be really, really impossibly slow every time you try and access something.
So you have to traverse the whole tree versus just having a map with the next sub-parent ID.
Right.
Okay, so what's stored in the app element is the data of the parts in the library, but the parts themselves are stored in a separate document.
That is correct. Yes, it is effectively a pointer to, the document ID. It's
we just store document ID and then like the description, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's exactly the same stuff that you get when you do the API to give me a list of all the elements in a folder. In fact, it's the same data structure.
Yeah, it is.
Except we had to subclass it to be
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BTG global tree node, some subclass that's specific to this app.
Right. We added three more synthetic names that go into it. It's the JSON type field. that tells you which instantiation of the BT global tree node it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you had an issue when you were copying it that it was empty.
Oh yeah. So we also have the feature.
But I think that maybe because we changed the document ID and you
Oh
got to
yeah,
look at the
I
new
fixed
document.
that.
Yeah.
But there was also I don't, when I was trying to get the wait, I'll have to look at the code, but it was guys like just look at it.
Yeah, we'll get it another time. Okay, so there are the one ask that we have is it would be nice to take a secondary look at the app element to see if there's a faster way of doing it. I mean, if you go look at how many transactions we're having to do for this, it is noticeably slower when you're in there because you saw how spiffy everything else was. And you want to have that
Very.
same capability.
And just to make sure I fully understand, so there's one source of truth for every user of the app, and there's one library that the app points to for all users.
Yeah, so let me talk it a different way. A parts library, or what we call a proxy library is an Onshape document.
Yeah.
That proxy library has in it a single list of BT global tree nodes, which point to other things. It can point to other libraries. It could point to Onshape documents. It could point to Onshape folders. It could point to what we call synthetic folders. So in other words, if I have a library that has subfolders underneath it, then they would be in that same parts library. But there's going to be a single one. We're going to call it the, let's call it the parts library master or whatever. There will be a single one, parts library master, which has a pointer to, in the top, all of the other parts libraries that we know of that we want to make publicly available to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that way there people have a very clean interface. They're not going to see 50,000 ones, that in there. They are only those. Now, right. In their own libraries, people can add their favorites to their own libraries for what they do, but there will be, and so under my libraries, I'm going to use these libraries in addition to having favorites. So favorites are documents, and libraries would be the libraries that I have subscribed to out of the master list of libraries.
Gotcha. So my question is how a user creates or gets libraries. So there's a curated list that your team as owners of the app provides as like the curated list, but you can also as a user create your own libraries which have the same architecture. You create a document for the user with app elements for them and do all that.
And I have that right here. So we can create a parts library.
And that's what we were just looking at. Like, so you'll end up with a tubing file document. You'll end up with a tubing document in your Onshape because you made a copy or whatever, and that's your library.
Yeah. And so what's missing from his user interface right now is he doesn't have the one that just says all libraries. Underneath libraries, there's going to be another one that's all libraries, and that points to the curated one of the libraries. And so now someone can go into that library and say, okay, I want to use this library.
Gotcha. So it's,
if you want to see it, you just don't put it in my libraries or whatever.
Right.
Or if you own the document, then you can just delete
it. Cool. So I guess my question is, the performance issues with the app element API, those only come up when you're editing the library. It's not like getting the information. You
also see it when you are viewing. So the code for the recent is also the same. It's actually the same code that's used for recent, that's used for the favorites. They're all app elements. And so that slowness that you saw is the same slowness that you're going to see when you're doing individual libraries.
Okay, now I'm understanding. So the libraries update very dynamically. So you, as a user, have a folder for recently inserted, and anytime you insert something, you have to update that app element that the recently inserted points to. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But in order to do that update, you have to pull JSON, do a diff to create the correct patch to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the other thing you run. It's not an issue if you're editing user preferences, but if numerous people are editing like the public document, if people are trying to curate it, like
It'll get broken.
you can easily enter like a.
Gotcha. So if multiple, right. So if multiple people tried to do the get post simultaneously, the diff changes for one
I
of
think
them.
that's where some type of supported atomic version would go a long way for that use case.
Gotcha. Cool. Okay, I understand the problem. I can think about it and ask around if there are any solutions, but ultimately you want like a micro version type system where you can just append changes.
Yes,
So-
exactly.
It could be as simple as timestamp. You can
Yeah.
see timestamp. Yeah.
I mean, we don't mind writing the entire thing each time. It's not that big, right? Typically, any one of these synthetic library entries is not going to have more than, in the worst case, 50 BT global tree node entries. What are we talking? That's a couple K. Right? So us writing everything is not a problem, but it's the fact that we have to do a read, and the read is slow, by the way. That's the other thing we've noticed, is that the app elements APIs, they're typically up to 3 seconds to respond versus the other entries that we're doing a directory that's responding in typically 150 milliseconds.
Cool. I suspect there's lots of kind of core architectural reasons why that is, and probably can't make any big changes in a reasonable time frame. But I can certainly ask around.
Yeah.
The other first thought that comes to mind is, have you explored blob elements as a different mechanism for storage instead of app elements?
We have not. I mean, does blob elements have versioning on them?
I think they're associated with Onshape micro versions, but I only think.
I mean, we could look. I mean, we went the app elements because Matt told us to do app elements.
Yep. No, that's what we've done, and that's the way that apps are supposed to store in Onshape is with the app elements. But you're doing it in a non-traditional way, so let's go crazy. Let's think of all the solutions. So like blob elements, you can get and update a blob element by uploading a new blob element, a new file, essentially. But I don't know enough about how it all works.
Well, the beauty of it is there's only 2 routines have to be touched to test out blob elements.
Yeah.
It's fairly well layered. The code is all pushed into the 2901 repository right now. Okay. I can share with you all the repositories. You're welcome to look at code and comment, make suggestions.
Sweet.
Or
Yeah, this is great. And I'm very eager to share this with product management and R&D and see like why can't we do something like this more integrated?
Yeah, you'll notice. Have you noticed how much this looks like Onshape?
Yep, you did a great job.
Comment. Yeah,
Yes.
very well done.
So
Yeah, I'm looking at the blob element kind of documentation right now. I feel like that sounds like a more efficient way to go.
Okay.
Cleaner way to go.
We can do that. I mean, I've got to do. They gave me an update for the bugs that I reported with the Swagger being broken, and so I'm having to restructure a whole bunch of stuff. And I dared not do it today because I did not want to break the demo for. So that's something for me to do tomorrow. I can look at that at the same time.
Awesome.
Because changing the blob, I mean, it shouldn't affect you. None of the other upper level stuff are needed.
that'll just be making blob elements of an app element. That's and if you still access it through element, you must be able to. Yeah.
Same thing. So,
Okay.
one other thing that we wanted to be able to do is to very quickly find these preferences documents. We've been looking for a way to how do we locate it, and there doesn't seem to be any of the search.
Right now, we're just using the names. with,
Yeah,
like,
we're actually
random Unicode symbols.
the part says that's how we're searching to find them, and we really would like to have some way to say, look, I need to find, because there's plenty of other things in the search that allow us to do it. I don't know whether the blobs, I know there's an option on the search to search for blobs, so we may be able to get away with finding, but the blobs don't like give us a type for it.
No, we're looking at the mime type.
Yeah,
that work?
and that didn't work. Did that work or not?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
Or we got mime types.
So being able to find these synthetics documents in the folder would be useful, because right now what we're doing is a very brute force. And that's an understatement.
So you're looking for like some way to type these documents.
Yeah, exactly.
Like label. I don't know. Can you search by label?
Labels are not, they're per user, not global.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
It needs to be a global attribute that we can say, look, I want to do a filter and give me only the ones that have this in it. Is it, you have it open to assign to other people so that the other people can use the new app?
Not yet. We
Okay.
need to set that up.
Yeah, we're going to set up, we will set up a store entry for this. So he's got 2 versions now. He's got his own development version, so he can do work on that. And then we'll make it more public so that you can share it with other people at Onshape, start playing with and get feedback. There is one, if someone has a UI opinion as to what the icon should look like for the library and for the synthetic folders. Right now, folders, we're using the same folders, but if, you know, if there is a UI person there that has an opinion what it should look like from an Onshape standpoint, please let us know. Otherwise, we've got a couple kids that can try and come up with something. But
Your book, I like the books that you got on there.
yeah, the books are, I mean, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I just found that one on the Onshape icon. So
Yeah,
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks and feels very Onshape-y already. So
and I say, I've been impressed. Let me brag a little bit on William for a minute here, because I know you've seen some of the stuff that I've done in terms of building a library, but I haven't touched this in about a month and a half, and William has really been doing a solid job of making it work. I mean, all the stuff with the synthetic libraries you saw being added, that's 100% him doing the work. So just for a junior, I'm pleased. He's going to go somewhere.
Favorites.
Yeah, the
recents,
favorites,
all that type of stuff. Yeah.
is all of his. So
William, look, yeah, consider maybe applying for a internship at PTC.
maybe.
yep, let us know as soon as you're ready.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely impressive. Really cool to see.
Any questions? Anything you need? You know, the stuff we've asked for. Is there anything else you can think of that would make
when
things
I
go faster?
create a new document and then I search for it, it doesn't, like, sometimes right now I have it like to wait 5 seconds and then find it, but sometimes it does find it in that time, and sometimes it takes longer for it to like appear when I search for it.
So what we're talking about is when you create a document, the API returns immediately, but then if you attempt to open the document, it fails. It's not there. And so one of the things he's done is that he's got a hard-coded 3 to 5 second wait before he attempts to look for it.
Yeah.
It would be really nice if the API actually said, hey, it has been created, but right now it just
Gives you the ID, which just means it's assigned an ID, but the document doesn't exist yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no, I mean, even a wait for this document to exist API call or something would be nice. But right now it's a hard-coded just delay.
Yeah.
Which we all know is not good programming. But I give credit. I mean, look, Williams figured out a lot of these things, how to make it work.
Yep. Yeah, I guess the right way would be if you can register a webhook with documents, but if it's being created and just not visible through the API, that seems like maybe a separate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also ask about that.
Yeah. Just an option that you can pass into the create document for a wait on response for whatever it is. Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah, because you get the response saying created right away,
Right.
But then if you immediately do the get or post to that document, doesn't work.
Right. And unfortunately, that doesn't affect the users of it who are reading from it. It only affects the people who are creating.
Right.
I wonder if that's why what we were seeing when you're going through those folders.
Well, I haven't.
You weren't creating a
It
document.
just,
were you?
yeah, it would just take longer for it to like
Mhm.
resolve the context.
Yeah, I know our documents APIs are some of the more computationally expensive ones. I think to create a new document, it just takes more time for our servers to do, so it might be some limitation.
All right. Something to put on your forward thinking cap is when you go from document. So if I leave this Onshape document and go to another one, I close the app down and I have to open it back up. Right? Opening up a new document, it would be really nice if the app sort of had some persistence that it stayed on when I went from document to document.
Yep, I actually asked a very similar question to R&D
Okay.
last week. Yeah, at the very least, having a query parameter in the URL so you can hyperlink to it with the panel open. But yes, I think app element persistence or some form
Yeah,
of
or another style, because right now we call it as a right window app. It would be nice if they just put another version of it, right window, stay open.
right. It's the extension that we would just want more control over.
Yes.
They call those app extensions,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, you essentially want that app to be on shape, because right now it's document specific.
Yes.
You want it to be like on shape specific, out of
Yep.
just my entire app or my entire the product.
I want to work with other applications besides Onshape.
Yeah, well, that's another. But I will tell you, after using this, I hate going back to the standard insert.
This is
I-
snappy.
I want to dig in there. Is it like the right panel user interface that's really valuable? Is it the speed? What about it is so much better?
Three things. Yes, the right panel is a big win. The second thing is the persistence of it being there. In other words, when you do insert, it's 2 extra clicks every time I go and doing the insert and navigating around. And then the third is the whole favoriting and recently used, because when you do an insert and I navigate to something and I insert it, and then I go back and do a insert, I go re-navigate to that same thing again and re-navigate again.
And sometimes in the parts, it will go to the part studio, and then you have to click on the part studio and navigate to the parts again.
Yeah. This is actually, we've spent a lot of time thinking about filtering down so that you only get one thing to insert. If there is only one logical thing to insert, this one will only insert that, and it won't navigate into there to go and find it. And that's the other part of his report. As we're finding things in the parts library that haven't been properly done, we go back and fix them.
Mm-hmm.
But this avoids the whole problem of, let me go and insert a bearing, and I'm going to insert the parts from the bearing versus the whole bearing. This just does it automatically.
Sorry, I don't think I fully understand that. It looks for the logical thing to insert, like you can't possibly see sub-assemblies in a part studio or something.
I'll show you this. Go and just do, are we in an assembly? Click on your assembly.
Okay.
All right. Go insert, click on insert.
Oh,
Insert right here.
He only knows his own.
Yeah, I know. Insert. Go to, so other documents. Parts users, robotics parts users, down. Let's go to Go Builda, motion, bearings.
There.
Oh, by the way, there's another one. they're not sorted. That's another thing we have. Let's go to ball bearings, flanged ball bearings. Okay, and let's click this first one, just the first one. See, right here, this is the parts, and I'm in assembly. I only want to insert the assembly. So click to assemblies. Click the assemblies over here, tab, and then you can insert that. Now let's go to his insert tool. Oh, we got to hit the close.
My memory is up.
All right.
Memory's up.
I've overloaded.
All right. And then let's go to Go Builda. So teams, part users, Go Builda, motion,
It'll be up at the top. Yeah, okay.
ball bearings, flanged, and take that one there. Yep. Yep. Oh, that one's parts. Ooh, that got broken. Flanged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got broken. Click the first one. Click the very first one. Okay, there. It did it. That was the right one. It did it correctly. But the other ones, we're gonna have to fix that part. But you can see the one that we did when we inserted, you had a choice of, do I insert the parts or do I insert the bearing?
So to confirm, it is just the X icon on the right-hand side that was thrown out. Yeah, okay. But it was the assembly on the right-hand side.
Right.
And that was the only
And the
option.
second one, we got to fix the part. That one there, someone has not done correctly. Try the bottom one.
So are you saying like there's a case where it's only the assembly that's worth inserting, or
Correct.
because like there
For
are
bearings.
cases, of course, when you might want to insert parts, like if you're building the assembly or
In the parts library for the bearings, there are 0 cases where you're going to want to insert the individual parts. I mean, there's plenty of parts for FTC that the only thing that makes sense is the assembly, because those are all the pieces of it.
And how are you determining that, and how are you specifying that? Like, is that on a case-by-case basis? You say do not allow them to insert the parts?
Yes. So what we do is in the parts library for a bearing, like you saw, we have a parts and we have an assembly. And the name of the assembly is the same name of the document. It's a whole bunch of things that we've done to match this. And the parts have that big red X in that says do not use parts. Right? And that's a hint to people, don't do it this way. And there are plenty of other things. Any of the things that are motion, like a hinge is another example of one that you want to put, well, the assembly in.
A motor.
Yeah, all of the motors. Why would you ever want to get just, part of a motor in there? Right, because the motor is going to have the axle, it's going to have the gearbox, etc. So, but yeah, there are lots of different reasons, but we actually spent a lot of code in here to figure out whether or not there's more than one thing to insert. If there is more than one thing to insert, we will pop down and show you that in the list. But if there is an obvious, this is exactly the right thing, then we only insert that one and we don't even drop you into the list. So, other questions?
No, I totally agree with you about like the persistence of it when you're going through the insert process. Like I've ended up, you end up at the point of your assembly where you're just inserting like the same 2 nuts and bolts, or like screw and over and over. I mean, I used to just have my recently added, and I could just drop those in every time I know that, oh, that's that screw I just used a minute ago, or I'm going through just 3 things and I'm kind of putting into it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to go add 50 spacers right now, and I'm just going to need to have that.
Well, you know what I do with the old insert is I actually go through when I'm going to demo and I need to be able to find them quickly. I go through and I actually open up the document so it's in the recently opened. Chris and I have done this several times for public demos. Yeah. But with this, the recently inserted, it just makes sense.
Yeah, it's nice touch.
Very nice touch.
Yeah.
or you make your own library for a demo.
Cool. Anything else? So I have an action to send where our repository is, so y'all have access to look at it. I will send out a summary of the 3 bugs that we know of. Chris and I will take the stab at the blobs, or I'll do the stab at the blobs. You want me to do it?
We'll do it on Zoom.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that separate from William, so that we can keep him focusing on the app, and we'll get the underlying stuff going. Plus, I have the new APIs to go install, so that's another thing I don't want to break. And we need to get William's going to get a new library, a new entry, and then we'll share that with you guys, so whoever you want to have access to it can play with it. Did I miss anything?
That all sounds great. I'm wondering if you would be open to sharing this recording with us.
I'm happy to. Yeah, when I get it done, I will share it with everybody.
Cool. Yeah, this is just like the perfect UX case study about how to insert parts in subassemblies. So
yeah. Well, it comes from using it.
Exactly. Yeah, you are, I'm sure, up there in terms of all-time Onshape usage, and we really value your feedback.
Well, I will tell you this. I am motivated for this to get out publicly used, because I am really tired of people sharing parts with the entire parts library users, and I send email to them and they don't respond back.
Were you guys there for the recent round of that?
Yeah, we ended up removing some of them, and then we got some nice apology emails back saying we won't do it again.
Yeah, I also contacted the team directly and stuff, and they also removed some of the parts, and the coach reached out and stuff. So
that's good. Oh, yeah, yeah. We're also tired of that, so we're also very motivated for this app to be out.
Yeah. Well, I would say beta. We're probably within a month easily for beta.
Yep.
I mean, you could almost beta it now, but we really need to get the app elements a bit more solid.
Yeah, it's definitely something that Onshape is aware of, and thinking about other ways. And it's a very big product, so there's lots of overlapping things. So the latest thing was around PCB Studio. They were working on new mechanisms for sharing libraries for PCB Studio. But there's limitations, like you need a company ID in the system that's just built into the architecture. So there's lots of overlapping things, but something we're aware of, and always thinking of new and better ways to have shareable libraries, but you kind of did it already. So this is great.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time out.
Thank you. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Really.
As you can tell, we're really proud of what William's been doing.
You should be. It's great work.
Again,
So
William,
impressive.
as soon as you want a job, let us know.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Sweet. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.